Hey everyone, Tim and Christy here, and we worked with Amy to do our video over the planning, programming, and budgeting of systems. So before looking at the specific budget process, it's important to understand the function of budgets for public entities. Budgets, especially public budgets, perform multiple functions. They serve as control mechanisms for limiting the resources used and for providing direction to and the control over an organization. They are used as planning documents for anticipating future needs, resources, and requirements, and they serve as programming tools for designing, developing, and supporting programs and policies in various different areas. So this system looks to connect the budget process with the goals and objectives of an organization. Prior to this method, especially in the military services, budgets were separate from the service's mission. Government services believed that they were entitled to their share of the federal budget, independent of their efforts, inefficiencies, and effectiveness. The budget process focused mostly on the next fiscal year while ignoring the impact of current management decisions. The purpose of PPBS was to change the budget process and justify funding. Look at the federal system and limit waste by eliminating duplicate services, providing connection between the organization's mission or vision and the funding process, and connecting current decisions with future budget, and then also finally requiring measurable objectives to be met over the next 5 to 10 years. So how did it begin? As you can see on the screen here, it was LBJ who had originally began the program. First of all, though, he implemented it, within the government. It was created by the RAND Corporation as a way to develop weapon systems for the DoD. And so LBJ implemented this as part of his Great Society policy. This, of course, coincided with the Vietnam War, and PPBS was introduced because President Johnson said that he wanted to be able to easily find out what precisely will be carried out and by whom and at what cost, and he wanted to know what the expected results were. So given the war, you have many branches of the military, and he wanted to know who exactly was doing what and at what cost and what he could expect for results. A little bit more on the history of PPBS. So the original purpose was once stated as the ultimate objective of PPBS shall be to provide the operational commanders-in-chief the best possible mix of forces, equipment, and support attainable within fiscal constraints. And so while this started out as a military program, it was then put into place for the entire federal government in '65. And some of the things that you see that some of the goals coming out of it were they believed that it would improve decision making, it would provide more effective information and analysis for decision making, and that there would be major emphasis put on identifying program objectives and the measurable results. As far as the acronym itself, the first P is for planning, and so the process begins by analyzing and specifying the basic goals in each major activity or program area. The starting point of PPBS is to answer such questions as, what is our basic purpose or mission? Or what specifically are we trying to accomplish? An example might be to improve overall reading comprehension scores, like using a NUIA test. The second P is for programming. Look at alternative ways to try to reach your goals. This means weighing the cost benefit of each alternative. For our goal, which is reading comprehension scores and improving on those on NUIAs, we might look at the cost of programs such as language or Fontes and Pinnell versus, say, Wilson. We would look at the data cost of the program over several years, the projected outcomes, and the services of the programs provided. As far as budgeting goes, the difference between PPBS and other budgeting systems is PPBS focuses on the outputs of programs, whereas in traditional budgeting approaches tend to emphasize expenditure inputs. Program budgeting enables school administration to compare program proposals, relate them to current activities, to evaluate them in terms of priority, and then to increase or decrease allocations of resources to them. So you can see this is a different approach to maybe the classic approach.
Implications of using PPBS in education. Within our districts, school-based systems, which join multiple facilities and towns under the one administrative umbrella, this system could be applied through shared services between schools. For example, if you need a speech therapist in each school within a district, rather than employing a speech therapist in each school, you would have one therapist split their time between multiple buildings and run groups and individual sessions. Prior to making this decision with PPBS, you would first look at what is the cost of the alternatives to a therapist in each building versus a shared staff and benefits and outcomes of all alternatives. Then your budget proposal would include the alternative that was the most efficient and effective for the school for the next 5 to 10-year plan. Another example of PPBS in action would be the consolidation of technical education and development of regional technical schools. The idea behind this consolidation was to decrease cost and improve the depth of the programs. This consolidation came at a time when school budgets were decreasing and school systems were eliminating the tracking of students into career or college prep academic areas. This shift in vision to a generalized curriculum meant instead of each school offering limited industrial arts programs, the center would offer one more intensive hands-on experience to students, and the regional technical centers were had less of a cost burden on each district as the burden would be shared across multiple districts in the region. The advantages of PPBS. It integrates long-range planning, execution, and budgeting, designs a long-term plan for creative instruction, compels administrators to give some thought to alternatives and stresses the significance of cost over a long period of time, helps relate the cost of a program to its merits, and links teachers, aides, support activities, research, and development of subject matter in terms of time and cost. Disadvantages of PPBS. Although the goal of PPBS is to find the most efficient and effective way to reach all of our other goals, it has not been implemented in many schools for the following reasons. School leaders do not understand the philosophy and technique. Schools have many goals that are conflicting and not data-driven or measurable. Leaders with clear goals need to understand the planning premises. And finally, schools and school boards are used to a line item budget and tend to reject budget plans and programs that are not presented in that format. It does require measurable objectives that are quantitative, which means additional data collection. This can be time consuming, and it also requires common assessments across the district. Again, these are all time consuming in the initial implementation. In addition to it being time consuming, allocations for schools are variable from year to year. If there is an economic shift in the school community or state, the allocation to the school system may decrease, and the 5 to 10 year plan may change quickly for the district. This system is not designed to accommodate these quick shifts in the economy.
And here's our works cited. And we hope you've enjoyed this presentation and learned a little bit more about PPBS. And again, just kind of in summary, started out in the Department of Defense, but now it's moved on into the educational world. It's got its downfalls, but there are also a lot of good things about it. So hopefully you've learned a little bit from this video, and thank you for watching.